All right, I just want to start out by saying that I've spent a couple of weeks on this speech, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do any better than that impromptu speech that Mrs. Aker gave just now, so let's give them a round of applause. It was 4th grade, and I wanted a chalkboard for Christmas. Yes, a chalkboard. A big, black, beautifully boring chalkboard. And that wasn't all. I wanted 3 cartons of chalk, 2 erasers, and reserved wall space for my chalkboard too. And despite the eccentricity of my ask, I actually got one. I'm saying this now to preface with the fact that had my parents not indulged that first very odd Christmas wish, I would not have become the utter and unapologetic nerd I am today. They are 100% to blame, period, plain and simple, end of story. It didn't take long before I annexed one of the sitting rooms in our split-level house. On one wall was my chalkboard, and on the other was a 4-foot-wide whiteboard that I bought at a garage sale. And each surface illustrated the same meticulously accurate, ironically precocious image, the human brain. For a period of about 3 years, an obsession with brains consumed me. Diagrams etched with cursive handwriting, uncharacteristically neat for a 9-year-old boy, littered my favorite part of the house, also known as my classroom, wherein I would lecture rows of stuffed animals for hours at a time, as they gazed back at me with the same blank looks all my teachers are so highly accustomed to today. I wasn't like many other boys or girls my age. This love of learning was all-consuming. It was an instinct. It was woven into my DNA, and it's a quality that has served me well throughout my high school career. Now, because my stuffed animals are a bit preoccupied right now worrying if they'll make the cut of which ones I'll take to college, I'd like to take this opportunity to reflect today on some of the grand themes of my life, the greatest lessons I have learned over the years with all of you. I'll admit, this is an overwhelmingly daunting task. The notion of encapsulating every morsel of self-help advice that could serve to benefit even one of your lives in the smallest way in only 15 minutes is enough to send me sprinting back to those stuffed animals. But if I didn't fully intend to be here, I wouldn't be. And that is the first lesson I wish to impart upon all of you. The power of intention. Of doing, working, playing, existing with the acknowledgement that you wield total and omnipotent power over the story of your life, or more accurately, your attitude toward it. You have the auspicious opportunity of electing which characters play a role, what setting provides the backdrop, the high points, the low points, the rising action, the falling action. It is all, believe it or not, up to you. This is a concept I've come to understand uniquely, you see, because storytelling is a vocation in which I am particularly well versed. In fact, it is something to which I am lovingly wed, something I will be doing for the rest of my life. At 18, I have what most people would call a dream job. I'm a journalist, an education reporter and columnist with Teen Vogue, the country's largest and most widely circulated youth-targeted publication. Dream job. I'm also a digital content producer with KRTV News, the #1 news station and source in the region, providing breaking news coverage and reporting of my own on weekday nights and weekends. Dream job. Exhilarating, extraordinary, and exhausting in the best type of way. Dream job. In the words of Gabe Flesher, a teen journalist I interviewed last week after he scooped New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's presidential announcement, I feel like I'm in one of my books. And I'm I'm the first to admit that the fulfillment of purpose is a time-consuming process. As a result, I'm an exceptionally busy kid. Gladly so, willingly so, oh so gratefully so. I value time and don't like wasting it because I have learned in my admittedly short 18 years what can be done when it's put to good work. Every week of this past year translated to 40.16 hours of school plus 30 hours of work times 25 weeks in a school year. That's 1,754 hours of uninterrupted work. That's 1,828 personally sent emails in the past 365 days, 24 college essays, and gallons and gallons and gallons of coffee. Black coffee. Chalkboard black coffee. Now, I'm not telling you this to impress or dazzle you. I'm telling you this so that you really hear me when I say I'm speaking from experience. I tell you this so that when I delve into the next lesson I've learned, you take me seriously when I talk about doing what I love. I work a lot, maybe too much, but I love it. Because for me, it's not work. The right kind of work, the best kind, is all play all the time. You see, there's this phenomenon that occurs within me when the work gets good. When I'm writing, when I've flipped a story on its head, when I've chewed it up and spit it out, where I can feel the words on the page reveal something about our shared humanity. I can't tell where I end and the work begins. I lose all consciousness. The tap of my fingers on the keyboard sends these faint vibrations up my spine, create a rhythm, a beat that harmonizes so sweetly in tune with my soul that it brings tears to my eyes just thinking about it. Everything, for once, makes sense. I've seen how a phrase coined in just the right way can make the most despised villain relatable, the most complex topic simple, the most powerful politician or prince or bully powerless. Words matter. Just ask Michelle Mora. I contacted Michelle Mora, a college student from Baltimore, earlier this year when I came across a story from her local news station about how the University of Maryland had denied her financial aid because she was unable to provide IRS tax transcripts as a result of the second government shutdown. Now, Michelle didn't come from a family of wealth or privilege or power. Her house is not the full house, and her mom is not Aunt Becky. This logistical hiccup was going to cost her an education, she told me, because she couldn't afford a semester without institutional aid. Although the University of Maryland did extend the deadline after her local media interview, my conversation with her was still fraught with worry. So, we told her story, we published it, and 2 weeks later I got an email. I would just like to thank you for writing your piece, Michelle told me. I was able to register, and I begin class on Monday. Words matter. In that phrase, I have found my purpose, and you can too. I'm sure many of you out there are grappling with the same types of questions today. What's next? What am I going to do with my life? Who am I? Well, here's the fundamental reality that I think so many of us get so wrong. In this life, there is only love. Love is purpose, purpose is love. They are the same thing, and you don't have to choose. Far too many of us become so vapid within these limited definitions of success that we deny ourselves the capability of manifesting a greater purpose, of heeding a higher calling, when in reality, your only job while you're here is to fall in love and surrender yourself to that love, whether it be love of a person, a family, a vocation, a community, a country, a philosophy, or a beautiful combination of all of those things. In his book, The Second Mountain, The Quest for a Moral Life, New York Times opinion columnist David Brooks puts it better than I ever could. We bury the faint crackling, he writes, of our inner fire underneath other, safer noises and settle for a false life. He goes on to outline an exercise in finding purpose from Nietzsche that I find particularly appropriate for today. The way to discover what you were put on earth for, he says, is to go back into your past, list the times you felt most fulfilled, and then see if you can draw a line through them. What have you truly loved thus far? What has ever uplifted your soul? What has dominated and delighted it at the same time? Assemble these revered objects in a row before you, and perhaps they will reveal a law by their nature and their order, the fundamental law of your very self. Trust your gut, in other words. If you love the smell of paint, become a painter. Do what brings you joy. Trust the aesthetics, because if you can find a way to manipulate work and play so they are one and the same, you can't go wrong. I just want to pause for a moment and say I cannot believe I've made it this far without quoting Oprah even once. That's bizarre even in regular conversation for me. You have no idea the self-control it's taken for me not to let the first words out of my mouth today be, you get a diploma, and you get a diploma, and you get a diploma. And zero nuanced political references either.